This account has not been opened since version 2.0. With Fontaine just around the corner, it's time to see just how far Genshin's come in the last 2 years. The biggest development we're going to see is in the map. In Genshin 2.0, the entire map was Mondstadt, Liyue, and these 3 Inazuma islands. But now with Sumeru basically makes up the entire previous size map, let alone these 3 islands, Enkanomiya, and the Chasm. I mean, who knows whether Fontaine's going to be as big as Sumeru is, but without an expansion to Mondstadt or Liyue, they're going to feel pretty insignificant compared to the rest of the map as soon as Fontaine is released. Maybe not the most obvious, but maybe one of the most impactful developments in Genshin is power creep. So how has power creep affected the game ever since the release of 2.0 to modern Genshin in 2023? Looking at a less literal meaning of the word power creep, and that's exploration power creep. Not only has the map increased massively, but the amount of Dendroculuses you need to collect is 80% of all the other regions' Oculuses added up to 2.0. That means Sumeru is essentially 2.5 regions worth of Oculuses, nearly. Now, if we're talking about character and weapon power creep, it is obvious that there are some areas where power creep has happened, and in some cases it's kind of inevitable. Despite the fact Amos Bow was originally Ganyu's best in slot weapon, it has fallen down the pecking order, and with Dendro reactions being some of the most powerful reactions in the game, they make up some of the most meta team comps in the game for you to clear the abyss. The introduction of the Dendro reactions could also have the opposite effect. According to my friend, they were a Lisa main. Yeah, I know, I didn't know they existed either, but they do. And with the release of the Dendro reaction, using a character like Lisa has become more viable than ever. Now really, in Genshin, there is no bad weapons and bad characters. While it's true that some are worse than others, you can use basically any character and any weapon to clear the hardest points in the game. While it may take more time and effort with some characters, it's not impossible. So while the Amos Bow might not be Ganyu's best in slot weapon anymore, it's still a really good weapon that you can use on your Ganyu, and it won't stop you from clearing the abyss. So while Lisa may be a character that released near the start of the game, they haven't really been power crap because they're just as viable as ever with Dendro reactions. Oh, and you may be wondering, Swaz, you said that this person hasn't played in the account since 2.0, but there's a Baiju here. What's going on? Well, when I first loaded up the account, while we're there, we thought, you know, we might as well use the leftover primos. And yeah, this happened. Anyway, so has power creep affected Genshin? Well, yes. Weapons and characters alike, even elements have been power crept. I mean, Geo could really be doing with some 11, but realistically, has this power creep affected the game at all? I mean, not really. You can still use whatever characters you like and you can clear the game just fine. This might be an issue that we see having more effect later as more regions are released and more characters are released and power creep starts having more of an effect. Thank you, Alexa. And power creep starts having more of an effect. Now, I think an important area of discussion around the development of Genshin since 2.0 is how the storytelling has changed in Genshin. Now, while in Mondstadt, Liyue, and Inazuma, there were side quests and world quests and story quests that give you more information about the world and are engaging, the addition of really fleshed out and dedicated world quests that appear in all the sub-regions of Sumeru are a really nice addition. Personally, while the R&R quest is really long, it was a really fun quest. I do think a lot of world quests in Genshin are very forgettable and skippable, but I did feel like the R&R quest really had an impression of me. I still remember doing it, I enjoyed it, and I really think it helps expand the world in a way that a lot of other world quests haven't done. On top of that, the Sumeru Archon quest I think has massively benefited from Hoyoverse learning from the Inazuma Archon quest. A lot of the criticisms of the Inazuma Archon quest were that it was too rushed in certain parts. Now personally, I really like the Inazuma Archon quest, but I can see where people are coming from when they say some of the story wasn't really fleshed out. Some of the NPCs that, you know, met an unfortunate end, you didn't really have a connection with. But the Sumeru Archon quest feels really fleshed out. You meet all the important characters and you learn a lot about them. And not only do things that happen in the Sumeru Archon quest have significant impact on the world that you play in, but they're a direct consequence of things that have happened in the previous Archon quests. I feel like that makes it feel like more of a continuous story, rather than being 4 separate stories in 4 separate regions. I'm not going to try and analyze the quest too much. I'm not going to pretend like I'm some sort of expert storyteller. I'm not, but that's just how I feel about it. Now, another addition in Genshin is new permanent features. And with this, I mainly mean TCG. I do like the TCG quite a lot. I feel like it was a good addition to the game. I definitely feel like there are some improvements it could have, because at the moment I definitely feel like it lacks the long-term playability that a lot of other card games have. But I do think it's still a work in progress, and that things like maybe a ranked mode, new card, new game modes will make it significantly more enjoyable. But I do think it is a really good addition to the game, just to give you a break from some of the other stuff you do in Genshin all the time. And you know, the extra XP in the battle pass, yeah, I like that. Obviously now, there are so many more characters in Genshin than there were in 2.0. There's a whole new element with a new roster of characters, meaning there's even more different team comps that you can make to play and enjoy the game with. But what can we expect from the future of Genshin? Well, importantly, Fontaine is just around the corner. Maybe we'll see even more Hydroculus power creep. I kind of hope not. But one thing I hope is on everyone's minds, because it's definitely been on my mind, is the Genshin anime. Being produced by such a high level company, I have high hopes for it, and I really hope it can serve to expand Genshin's story and introduce even more people to Genshin. I think it's quite telling how far the game's come from 2.0. At 2.0, an anime was probably not on everyone's minds. Nearing 4.0, and you know, we could be expecting a trailer soon, who knows. Now of course there are things I want to see from the future of Genshin, like new endgame content, new permanent modes that aren't just reserved for events, and quality of life changes, like team loadouts. Please, I want team loadouts so bad. It's entirely a problem that probably only affects me, but looking for the characters every time I go in the abyss takes me multiple minutes, and it definitely shouldn't. And hopefully when we're all the way at 5.0, we can look back at 3.0 like we looked at 2.0 and see just how far we've come.